Hello everyone and welcome back to the Talos Principle 2. I know I said I'd be doing some Silent Hill tonight, but I'm just not feeling it. Hmm. Alright, so I gotta make green to open that up. Alright. There we go.
Every one of these clouds seems to contain exactly the same amount of energy.
What does that switch activate? Maybe nothing on its own. Placement. Hmm.
You know something that's weird about these puzzles? They're not replicas of the simulation puzzles, like the ones in the museum.
Wasn't there an artist who did an exhibition a few years ago that involved new puzzles of some kind?
That was Barzai. It was called Trials of an Imagined Past. I tried to get you to come along. You thought it would be boring.
Were they similar?
No, not at all.
Was it boring?
I thought it was interesting.
Keeping connection. Hmm.
Any progress on the particle clouds, Melville? It's pretty clear they're integral to how all of this functions.
I've gathered a lot of data, but I still have a lot of numbers to crunch before I can give you an answer. And I can't guarantee that my answer won't be another question. I'm glad we don't get headaches.
Hmm. Lifthrasier 02.
While exploring the forest, I came across a sight of primal force. A beautiful stag, standing on a hill silhouetted against the setting sun. It appeared like a messenger from some divine natural power, perhaps from Gaia herself. Even to a being such as myself, less susceptible to manipulation by instincts and hormones, it was clearly a moment of revelation. In such moments, we are told to avert our eyes. But what if we do not? What will we discover if we look more closely? If we could speak to the stag, what wisdom would it have to offer? The answer is none. The stag is an animal of overwhelming stupidity, driven only by fear, hunger, and lust. There is no abyss for us to plunge into behind this revelation. Rather, the revelation is as flat and unreal as the plywood walls of a film set.
So these monuments represent each of the entities. Pandora, the Sphinx, and Prometheus.
Makes sense, I guess.
For a given value of sense.
Okay, so that Sphinx statue had 2, 4, 7, and 8 on it. Okay, number 2 is over there. Yes, okay. 2, 4, 7, and 8 were the switches I had to turn on.
Every answer leads to another question. The last answer leads to the first question.
Duet. Okay. Hmm. Oh, I see it. Hmm. I need to get that. Oh, okay. Go through there and then I can aim the jammer through the hole. Okay, now I can use that to get the other driller out of here. There we go. The Progenitor Portrait Series. Hey everyone, this is the latest in my portrait series. I've always had a deep respect for the progenitor, Alexander Drennan. She didn't just create the founder and save humanity, she also tried to instill us with a sense of beauty and wonder. It was good to be human, Alexander Drennan. As usual, please keep in mind that we should focus on engagement with the work. Don't ask yourself whether it's good or bad, but how it makes you feel. Beautiful work, Rodam. Gives me a bittersweet, wistful feeling. She must have been a great person. To me, it really captures her bravery in the face of what the cosmos had thrown at her. It's well done, but I'm not sure it's appropriate for us to depict the progenitor in this way. It's important to remember she was a real person. You're right, she was extraordinary, of course, but she was a human being like any of us. I don't think you can say the progenitor was like any of us. That's like saying the founder was like any of us. But they were. That's the point. You're new to this world, so I understand your ignorance, but it would be best if you were a little more respectful. The founder created the goal. She created you. Keep it civil. What 1K was trying to explain, Thekla, was that the progenitor and the founder weren't some different class of being. They were made as the same stuff as we are. That doesn't take away from what they accomplished or how incredible they were. It just means that humans can be truly amazing. Here lived a race of giants. Alexander Drennan. Taking a reference short in case I want to figure this out later. Passage.
he found another lab. Wow, that's a lot bigger than I expected.
What were they doing here?
And who are they?
Ooh.
The world is a wonderful place. Every day we take another step forward. Every day we come closer to the truth. The closer we get, the more I can see the beauty of the universe, the intricate perfection of its mechanisms. I am a machine, and the universe is a machine. Every part of me serves a purpose, or I could not be myself. I could not be Miranda, because that specific person could not exist without those specific parts and their specific functions. In the same way, every part of the universe serves a purpose. I think that is what we were meant to discover here.
"1K, you just connected to an extremely powerful data stream. Are you all right?"
I'm fine.
You were lucky this time, but please, everyone, let's be careful with these terminals from now on.
Yes, let's all try not to die. More importantly, who the hell is Miranda?
There's no one by that name in New Jerusalem. I just searched the database.
It must be one of the people who built this place.
A new person. Someone we've never heard of before. Someone born outside the city. We have to find out more.
But where did they come from? And how many people does it take to build something this huge?
Like I said, we need to find out more.
Rose. No.
Well, you'll be happy to hear that I'm about to fix another part of the transport system. Thanks for the files, 1K. I hope they didn't fry your brain.
Stratton ideas. A fragment from Stratton's The Origins of Thought is quoted in a commentary by Simplicus of Cilicia. Say that material things are brought into being by ideas is to flatter ourselves, which is an error philosophers are particularly prone to because it raises those who think above those who do. Then, what is the truth that does not flatter? That the reverse is true. Ideas are brought into being by matter, and so each man's ideas are shaped by the world that surrounds him, as clay is shaped by its mold. Those who live in mountains fear cold. Those who live in deserts fear thirst. The Athenians are shaped by Athens, and the Lacedaemonians by Sparta, and likewise it is for all peoples. But may ideas, if we take each man to be an idea, not by deliberate action alter the shape of the mold, as you put it. Discover a method for accomplishing this is the chief purpose of philosophy, my friend. Footnotes: the newly discovered Heracleon manuscript, likely a lost part of the Barocci collection, contains an additional passage that differentiates between pneuma, the individual mind or spirit, described as an energy arising from matter, and ideas, which are produced by the pneuma as it interacts with the world. Philosophy is useless as it offers no way of changing things. At least Stratton tried and didn't lie to himself. But how can we change the shape of the mold? Stratton never says. Perhaps by demonstrating the fact that other shapes are possible. We can't change it all ourselves, but perhaps we could, like Alexander Drennan, create the conditions for change. Noma Project 3. Version 0.05 deployed successfully. Reversion to previous settings fixes malfunction, but what was the error? Cooling systems improved. Version 0.08 halted insufficient energy for trials. Untitled draft. Saint Eadwald identified the tetromino with the tetragrammaton and the Greek word for God, because to him the mathematical properties of the tetromino reflected God's ability to reshape the world without breaking its laws. Elohim, in his desire to impose meaning on the simulation, which was his primary function as storyteller after all, took Eadwald's heretical ideas and integrated them as the sigils of his name. But despite all these layers of obfuscation, there is some kind of truth hidden in all this. The world really is, in a sense, made up of minute parts that can be combined and recombined without breaking the underlying laws. Everything that exists is made of the same fundamental materials, and those materials are brought into existence by the same fundamental functions of reality. And yet the miracle of existence is that we are not all one, but are in fact radically different and separate. New Alexandria. From the Book of Reminiscence and Regret by Eustathius. In the early days of our people, a great deal of responsibility fell on my shoulders. There were few of us then, and though we are stronger and hardier than any human, we are not invincible. The world was an overgrown ruin, and our resources extremely limited. It was a harsh time, but I felt passionate about the work, fired up by the many sacrifices that had brought us here, from the Ian team to the people of Gehenna, whose code was part of my personality. Thinking it was a way of safeguarding against disaster, I proposed the creation of a second settlement, New Alexandria. As the location was far from the dam that powers New Jerusalem, I attempted to build a thermal power station that would take advantage of a local gas reservoir. However, I foolishly used geologic data from the archive, failing to account for the amount of time that had elapsed. 5 years later, this error led to an accident that leveled the sediment and killed 31 of my fellow citizens. Of all my many regrets, this is the greatest. Eustathius never forgave himself for this mistake. He drifted away, isolated himself from everyone in New Jerusalem. Was it really his fault? Yes, he made a mistake, but why was the entire weight of the New Alexandria colony placed on his shoulders? A simple process of review and discussion could have prevented the entire disaster. Doesn't that mean New Jerusalem as a whole is at fault? He did his best. I feel sorry for him. But the dead remain dead, and that has to be faced. The ethics of extinction. If a species we consider beautiful and remarkable goes extinct, we consider that a great evil. Dolphins, for example. If dolphins go extinct, that's a great loss. If humanity causes dolphins to go extinct, that's a crime. But if Yersinia pestis, bacterium that causes bubonic plague, goes extinct, is that an equally great loss? If not, why not? In nature, there's no difference. It's all just life forms. The only moral framework that allows us to choose between dolphins and the plague is a human one. What about a species going extinct without anthropogenic factors? Extinction is the norm. If one day dolphins are no longer capable of competing with other species, should we let them go extinct? When the sun finally dies and all life goes extinct, will that be a tragedy? If we can prevent it, should we? If you believe that extinction is acceptable when nature does it, but not when we do it, then you don't actually oppose extinction. You don't believe that dolphins are inherently valuable, that they deserve to live and thrive. You just oppose human control. You oppose our ability and responsibility to choose. I'm not sure I agree with that. No, well, I kind of agree. I don't know. That last statement is fairly strong.
Tell me, what did you make of New Jerusalem?
It's beautiful but decaying.
You're right. You're absolutely right. We had such ambitions in the beginning. But now it's all turned inwards. We've lost faith in ourselves, in our humanity. All we need to do now is finish that dome, and we'll be trapped in our perfectly neat little tomb.
For anyone who missed it, Byron's expedition has recovered evidence of the existence of another person. Someone not from New Jerusalem. Who could this be? What does this mean? Maybe there's another city out there who says there was only one simulation. Maybe there are thousands of people we've never met. Really hope so. There was only one founder. I hate to agree with Thekla, but all the historical evidence we have points to that conclusion. There were some other attempts, but as far as we know, they all went wrong or failed. There's more that we don't know than there is that we know. That sentence is going to make my brain crash. Why do we think Miranda is from Earth? There's no evidence to support that idea. We'd like to hear more about these other attempts to save humanity. Some people affiliated with the Institute for Applied Nomadics tried to set up a secondary site at another dam, but after about a century, the dam collapsed and took whatever was happening inside that system with it. There was also a similar attempt by another organization, but without the test of free will that Alexander Drennan devised. According to Lithosphere, it never produced a viable mine before it ran out of power. Could there still be others out there? Theoretically, yes, but even our dam would have collapsed without extensive repairs, and even a nuclear power plant would have run out of fuel by now. Eye of the Needle. Hmm. Ah. Ah.
managed to extract an audio file from 1K's data stream incident. It's hard to be sure because it's just a fragment, but I think it's some kind of log or diary.
We finished a new lab today. Some processes are still harder than others, but energy output was up 2,000%. It's incredible how each leap forward enables another. The next iteration of the machine will...
So as we suspected, someone was experimenting here. But experimenting on what? What was this machine they were building?
Maybe it's whatever powers the megastructure.
Okay. The green. Green receiver. Up there. Oop. Okay, so whatever it is, it has to be Thriller. Or a hmm. Oh, oh. I need to send this back. Or send it over, rather, because it was over here to begin with. Now I can send the box through. Oh, okay, I gotta...
Elohim must be very proud of you, 1K.
The New Theology 1. From The New Theology by George Bernard Shaw. The object of the whole evolutionary process is to realize God. That is to say, instead of the old notion that creation began with a God, a personal being who, being perfect, created something lower than himself, the aim of the new theology, turn that process the other way and to conceive of the force behind the universe as working up through imperfection and mistake to a perfect organized being, having the power of fulfilling its highest purposes. In a sense, there is no God as yet achieved, but there is that force at work making God, struggling through us to become an actual organized existence, enjoying what to many of us is the greatest conceivable ecstasy, the ecstasy of a brain and intelligence actually conscious of the whole and with executive force capable of guiding it to a perfectly benevolent and harmonious end. This is what we are working to. Lives the First Companions by Randolph 777. After all these events, Niam decided to consult the writings of the ancients. But while philosophy and religion interested her, it was art in all its forms that came as a revelation. To her delight, she discovered that meaning was not something constructed purely out of logic or will, but that it could also be found in stories, that even when the characters and events of a story were not factual, they had a validity and weight, as if they somehow were real after all. She was astonished that such a profound experience was freely available to all humans, concerned that too few took advantage of it. So she set out to enrich the inner lives of her fellow citizens by promoting the arts, starting with a legacy of Gehenna. EM sounds nice. I would love to meet her one day. She must know more about New Jerusalem art history than anyone. When we do, remind me to explain how to pronounce her name. The default settings in the language libraries are wrong. Leviathan. From the introduction to Leviathan by Thomas Hobbes. Nature, the art whereby God has made and governs the world, is, by the art of man, as in many other things, so is nature is by the art of man as in many other things. So in this also imitated that it can make an artificial animal. For seeing life is but a motion of the limbs, the beginning whereof is in some principal part within. Why may we not say that all automata, engines that move themselves by springs and wheels as does a watch, have an artificial life? For what is the heart but a spring, and the nerves but so many strings, and the joints but so many wheels, giving motion to the whole body, such as was intended by the artificer? Art goes yet further, imitating that rational and most excellent work of nature, man, whereby art is created that great leviathan called a commonwealth, or state in Latin civitas, which is but an artificial man, though of greater stature and strength than the natural, for whose protection and defense it was intended, and in which the sovereignty is an artificial soul, as giving life and motion to the whole. Lastly, the pacts and covenants by which the parts of this body politic were at first made, set together and united, resemble that fiat, or the let us make man pronounced by God in the creation. It's obvious that Hobbes has read Stratton and is extrapolating the Talos principle to the level of the state, but unlike Stratton, all he wishes for at the end of the day is a powerful ruler to control this machine, to tell him what to do. They've got to be the extra puzzles. Oh wait, I forgot the layout of this place.
Halt, creature of clay. You have strayed from your garden and entered a domain that is beyond your ken. Turn back now, before you harm yourself and others.
We were invited here.
Prometheus had no authority to summon you. He is rash and foolish and given to trickery, but his schemes lead only to ruin. Therefore heed my warning. The flame is not for you.
We will consider your word.
Then perhaps there is hope for you yet.
How many of those bloody things are there?
I think that was Pandora, which matches the other one being Prometheus.
They seem to be locked in some kind of conflict.
Might be wise to avoid getting caught in the crossfire until we understand what these entities actually are.
Eastern West. Okay. So I gotta get from there to there. Okay, so that'll serve as a bridge. I need green. Yes. Okay, actually, I should. Where's the other end of this? Okay. And I need to find a place that has either a green laser or an RGB converter. Ah. So okay, that connects to this. That lets me know what I need to do. There we go.
When the first man picked up the first stone, he did not do so to forge a tool. He did so to smite his brother.
Alright, there's a star I'm missing back there. Okay, I guess I didn't read this one. Okay, I did.
hunter does not hunt because he is hungry. He hunts because he revels in death.
After 1K found those labs, I started thinking, where did all the tech come from? So I had a look at the serial numbers, and it turns out the answer is New Alexandria.
Oh. Wow, I guess that makes sense. After the explosion, the colony was abandoned. Nobody ever went back for all that stuff.
We had enough to deal with. So many dead.
So that's one question answered. But how did they go from scavenged Alexandria tech to all this?
How did we go from nothing to where we are now? Through the application of reason and the right tools.
Whoa.
Look at the size of that structure.
How does the material support so much weight? Is it the same stuff as the other buildings?
Yeah. I know it looks like some type of concrete, but the molecular structure is completely different. Whatever it is, it's a lot stronger and less brittle.
Are the labs made out of the same material?
No, that's just ordinary concrete. Although, it does have some molecular weirdness going on too. Too little variation in the grain.
Alexandria all the time. But realizing this place was built on its bones just brings it all back even more. We were so optimistic when we started. So full of ourselves. We thought we could accomplish anything. And then, in one single moment, it was all gone. I remember a flash, and then just lying there, realizing that my legs had melted. I tried to pull myself away from the fire, but the servos in my arms were broken. If Eustathius hadn't found me, sorry. Just some old scars.
When we go to New Jerusalem, I'm going to have a cat. He's going to be black and white, and his name is going to be Bean. And I'm going to make sure that he never gets sick, and he never gets old, and he'll be my best friend forever.
Oh. Founding 3. My patient's journal. Okay. Day 42. We broke ground on the first of the permanent structures today. A large hall that will eventually be converted into a performance and exhibition space. My idea. Although for now we'll use it as a workshop. It's strange, this place. There's a lot of open space, and I didn't think that I would find it so unusual. But I suppose we all spent more time at the dam than was originally planned. Now it's difficult to get used to not having that low ceiling over our heads. Probably just me. Byron loves being outside and is always volunteering for scavenging missions. If Thrasir usually tagged along, although he seems more fascinated with observing nature and various weird creatures. At night I sometimes catch myself standing by the door, not because I have guard duty, just watching the stars. It's oddly comforting to think that they've always been there, that they watched our ancestors, standing where I now stand. From Miranda to 5358. We finished setting up the external site of the lake. The area is so stunning we forgot about the experiment for a while and went for a long walk. Ways in which all the different aspects of nature interact with each other are endlessly fascinating to me. And the sheer variety of living things, even on a simple green meadow. Sadly, we then stumbled onto the carcass of a deer that had been torn apart by wolves. It must have suffered enormously, and thinking about that made me feel truly terrible. There is so much pain in nature. Cutting down swaths of trees for their building projects, thoughtlessly causing radical changes to large environments, and forcing local species to adapt to their artificial habitats. These are the traits of a species of intelligent, industrious, and extremely impactful ecosystem engineers. Humans? No, I'm talking about beavers. Like us, beavers transform their environments via building, and their actions have real consequences, creating vast wetlands that some species thrive in, while others die. Human activity is very similar. We too are ecosystem engineers. We too benefit some species while harming others. Everything about this is completely natural, including the damage to other species. After all, that's what competition and evolution is all about. Those species that adapt to the ecosystems we create will, over the coming millennia, become the core of a new biodiversity. We don't like the result, if we think some species should be preserved despite being outcompeted. Well, that's anything but natural. It is, however, very human. It's fascinating to think. It's fascinating how so much of what we do is common in animals, but furthered enormously by our intelligence and our ability to remember. Through us, the universe strives to a greater level of complexity. Does the universe have the capacity to strive for anything? We must be careful to avoid projecting human values onto the cosmos. There and back again. A Hobbit's Tale by Bilbo Baggins. Hey. Hmm. I need to find that place, wherever it is. Okay, there's those two things in the foreground and that structure in the background. Alright, that's it. My eyes are a little bit worn out, so that's where I'm gonna call it for the night. I will be back either tomorrow night or Saturday with more Silent Hill 2 remake. So, yeah, until then, everyone have a good night and have a good Friday, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.